video, we'll look at how to enable drag and dropping of data rows from one grid's data source to another. The implementation algorithm for this will depend on the data object that is bound to your grids. For this lesson, we'll use two data table objects with an identical schema where the second table is essentially a clone of the first one. So let's get started. I'll start with a WinForms application that has two grid controls bound to data table objects with an identical schema. For a control to accept objects being dropped onto it, the allow drop property must be set to true. I select the first grid and set its allow drop property. I do the same for the second grid control. To initialize the drag and drop, I'll use the mouse down and mouse move event handlers. I switch to code view and create the event handlers manually. Next, to allow objects to be carried over and dropped, I'm going to handle the drag over and drag drop events. Now that I have created the event handlers, I switch to design view and assign them to grids. Notice that one set of event handlers are used by both grids. Additionally, I'm going to set the optionsBehavior.editable property of both grid views to false, so that the in-place editor is not invoked when a data row is clicked at runtime. I'll now start adding the code to handle and drag and drop operations. I first create a grid hit info object that will contain the coordinates of the current location of the mouse cursor. Then, inside the mouse down event handler, I add the following code. Based on the location of the mouse cursor, this will retrieve the row handle of the row. When the cursor starts moving, its location is tracked via the mouse move event. I add the following code to do that as long as the left mouse button is held down. Next comes the drag over event. This event is raised when the mouse cursor moves within the bounds of the grid view during a drag and drop operation. I add the following code to the event handler. First, I check to see if the object being dragged over is of the data row type. If so, then the move method of the drag drop effects enumeration is called. If the object is not a data row, then no action is taken. Finally, the drag drop event is raised when a drag and drop operation has completed. Here, I add the code to copy the data row to the second grid by calling the data table's import row method. Then the row is removed from the original grid. And that's it. I run the application to see the results. I can drag rows to move them between any one of the grid controls on my form. Thanks for watching, and thank you for choosing DevExpress.